It's not easy being Magnus Carlsen right now. The reason you are trailing 1-0 in the match with Praggnanandhaa and you have only one more game left to strike back. You do not know what time the game is about to begin. You go to the arbiter to ask about that and you are waiting here. Magnus has this unenviable task of trying to win his next game, and there you can see Pragg already analyzing with Wesley. So he has the black pieces, so has Wesley against Nakamura, and they put back the pieces. Wesley goes for his game. Pragg is still thinking about what his first move got to be. He just needs a draw to actually secure a match victory against Magnus, because he won the first game. This game is already there on our channel. You can check it out. Standalone video. And now Pragg goes to the board. This is the area where the players analyze. The chess boards are placed on the podium, and Pragg goes up to the board, takes his chair. Black pieces against Magnus. How difficult is it to actually hold this force called Magnus Carlsen? We'll see. You also put on the headphones because there's a crowd out there and you never know if they would shout out something, and Pragg doesn't want to be disturbed at all. So he puts on his headphones, adjusts his pieces there, and waits for Magnus to arrive. You can also see a screen in the background there. That's to just see the number of moves that have been made, because many times in tie breaks, after a certain number of moves, you get an increment. And there you see Magnus coming in. A handshake, and the clock has begun. How is Magnus going to play in this position? He adjusts his pieces. Magnus Carlsen with the white pieces now opens the game with c3. He opens his queen up, and Pragg also plays the symmetrical c6, opening his queen, and h4. This is one of Magnus's key strategies in freestyle chess, to push his h-pawn when the rook is on h1 to gain space. There you see, gaining even more space. Pragg stops the pawn in its tracks, but notice how Magnus has clamped down this structure. Maybe it doesn't seem very useful right now, but maybe it is later. And e5 by Pragg, fantastic play by the youngster. Flank attack should be met with play in the center, attacking the queen. I believe queen e4 is a good move to trade queens, but Pragg decides, let's better not go into endgames against Magnus. e4 played, and Magnus now opens up his bishops, takes, queen takes e4, and knight comes out to f6, attacking the queen in the center. Queen goes to h4, and now the threat is bishop f4, quite a dangerous one. bg4 is a good move, but Pragg goes knight to g4, trying to stop this move. Also preparing bishop e7, the knight comes to d4, threatening f3 to kick the knight. Bishop e7, bishop f4, Pragg takes the bishop, Magnus takes the bishop. Insane, the knight is hanging, but you castle because the king moved. King didn't have to move, the rook just jumped over. Fantastic. This is freestyle chess at its best. Loving it. g3 played, and now Pragg brings his queen back to e5, offering a trade of queens. The queen takes queen, knight takes on e5, and knight comes out to e3. We are in endgame territory, and I believe Pragg should be happy with what he's got. He just needs a draw, and he should be able to get it from this equalish position. He goes knight e6, offering a trade. If you take, black is very happy, so Magnus keeps the knights on the board, goes to f5. Knight comes to c5, a check here, and Magnus says, I need that bishop. Inspired by Bobby Fischer, he now has the light squared bishop on the board. But Pragg's knights are very, very strong. They are looking to enter into the d3 square. Can't do it straight away because then the other knight will be kicked off. He goes for a check. Magnus brings his king up. Ooh, he wanted to play king f2. Is he going king g2? I'm not so sure. King f2, there is knight d2. He takes his time, and I like how Magnus sometimes touches a piece, puts it back, showing that he's confused. And now knight goes to d2, attacking the bishop. I believe you can move the bishop, but then rook e8, and there's trouble down the e file. So rook d1, attacking the knight. And rook d8 defending it. The knight goes to c4, offering a trade here. Pragg can take the knight or the bishop. He decides to take the bishop. Rook takes and brings his king to g8. Very, very even position, one must say. But Magnus starts to grind. He attacks the b7 pawn, threatening b4 to take here. Pragg needs to be very careful. f5, I like this move. Rook e8, also not bad. King f3. But this f5 move stops the white kingside pawns, gets a square for the knight on e4. But Pragg goes king f8. Not the best move. And Magnus now takes his opportunity, plays b4, attacking the knight. The knight must move. It can go to a4. Yes, it jumps to a4, attacking here. And b7 is taken. Can Pragg also take on d1? Yes, he takes on d1. Rook takes d1 and now chops off the pawn on c3. But Magnus can reach the 7th heaven there. 7th rank. Rook enters. Rook d7. Very important now to bring your knight back to d5 and slowly get it to f6. Pragg plays rook e7. Magnus gives a check. And now a3. What an excellent move. Because if you take the rook, knight takes and this pawn is falling. Pragg decides to go king e7. I think a critical error. He had to play g6 to get this space. But you can see how the h5 pawn is clamping down the black structure. He comes back. Well, taking on e8 was also excellent. But he comes back. Pragg goes back. Knight to a4. The knight jumps to d6, attacking the rook. You can see Magnus here cooking. He just loves such positions. He's amazing at this. He's now threatening knight f5 check. And guys, look at this. Knight f5 check. King f6. Rook d6 check. If you take the knight, g4 mate. So king f8 played. Rook jumps in, attacking the c6 pawn. Pragg goes a5. He's trying for his counterplay here somehow. But Magnus just chops off the pawn. You can't take it because of rook d8 checkmate. What to do? Praggnanandhaa pushes his c pawn down the board. Whew. Well, this is getting intense. Magnus is going to be able to equalize the scores when we will move to the 5+2 segment. a6 pushed here. And c4. He pushes his pawn forward. Magnus is just amazing when it comes to coordinating his pieces. He attacks the pawn here with the knight. The pawn pushes forward. He brings his knight to b5. And just the timing of it is so amazing. When he'll play c2 and c1 trying to deflect the rook, the pawn will already be on a7 defended by the knight. So Pragg will have no counterplay. And it's time to resign the game. Pragg resigns. Magnus equalizes the score. Takes off his headphones. And here Pragg and Magnus do analyze a bit. Let's hear them talk to each other to see what their analysis looked like after the game.
Yeah, also if you trade the knight instead of the bishop, it's much easier because I never had knight f5.
Yeah, I can go king g8, king f8.
Yeah, it's just.
And so now the players going into the players lounge. It's 1-1 tie in the 10+10 segment. We are now moving into the 5+2.